insight into a lot of the tracks, the drivers, and everything in between. Right, so we're going to go to the grid now. The race format for this evening. So the drivers have had a practice session in the build-up to this race. There has been a qualifying session, which was only used very briefly just to set the pace car at the front of the order. And then we're going to have a 40-minute race now, the first lap done behind the safety car, driven by John Edwards. So John Edwards, as many of you will know from the Discord community, a great racing coach, and he's obviously given a lot of great advice out to drivers of all calibers across the order in iRacing UK. Now, let's have a little look at John going around the lap now. So John Edwards is in car 609. We're actually not going to go around the lap with him right now. What we'll do is we'll just remind you again of where you can go to support the charity. So already an absolute vast sum of money has been raised to support Katie and family. You can head to the video description down below and you'll be able to find a link there to the Facebook fundraiser. Please do give generously in there. If you decided maybe not to have that morning Starbucks or that beer after work, you know, in your favorite pub on the corner on your way home. That was me. I didn't do that today. Make sure you go over to that link, donate that couple of quid that you would have otherwise spent on yourself. It all goes to a really good cause, and obviously every bit of support is very much appreciated by the family and us here in the racing community. Now, Silverstone, obviously a circuit that we really have spent a lot of time at. Now, a bit of recent history from Silverstone, you might remember, if you're watching the Formula One this year, it's a very interesting season, and Silverstone, always a spectacle to behold. And for once, it wasn't raining all weekend. I remember having been to Silverstone in the past where you'd go on a Friday practice to get a cheap ticket to go and see some cars, maybe when you were a bit hard up, and just go and watch them on the Maggots, Beckett's, and the Chapel complex. And so always a wet weekend at Silverstone. But this year we were really given quite the spectacle with obviously that win from Lewis Hamilton. Hopefully I'm not spoiling this for anybody. If I am, then you must have been living under a rock this season so far, or you really aren't a fan. The real highlight of the race obviously got everybody talking, that Copse corner. Now, in Formula One, incredibly quick corner in those high downforce machines. These GT3 cars won't be quite the same. They will have to lift, probably shift, and make sure they are not going completely flat to the floor through that corner. That right-hander, very quick, obviously leads us into that complex of Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. You require some really delicate work on the throttle and brakes around that section of the track. It's all about opening up the corners as much as possible so that you can get as much corner exit for a nice smooth exit then, and lots of speed into the Hangar Straight. Now, the Hangar Straight will absolutely be the subject of the camera angles tonight, because what we want to do is keep an eye on the Hangar Straight, where we'll have some slipstream overtakes on the run down into Stowe Corner, which you can go too wide round. It's a nice wide corner, plenty of space for our drivers to go head to head, and then ultimately a real detailed part of the circuit is that last chicane. That can really be quite delicate for our drivers. We've seen spins there before in leagues gone by, and it can really test the drivers. The stronger ones amongst them will know how to get that chicane spot on every time, even when they're under pressure, meaning that we'll see some great racing down there. Now we're going to go back over to John Edwards. He's driving us around the circuit at the moment. Have a little look at this Ferrari on your screens. The Ferrari pace car for the evening that will lead these GT3 racers around the first lap of the race. We want to make sure that obviously everybody gets around the first lap in one piece, and the best way to do that is to set the pace with a sensible man. And young Mr. John Edwards here in car number 609, he's absolutely the candidate for the job. So thank you to John for being our resident safety car driver this evening. Now, you'll see there a few of the driver names on the bar on your left-hand side of the timing tower, just to give you a flavour, again, of some of the names that you might remember from other leagues. There's Paul Busby, we've got the likes of Patrick Bennett, one of the admins in iRacing UK, James Armstrong, incredibly strong GT3 driver, always really impressive to watch. Danny Gosling, strong driver again. We were watching him in the last race at the Nürburgring in the GT3s. A great driver. I don't believe he was in the Audi when we were watching him last, but he's chosen the Audi for tonight at Silverstone, and hopefully that'll be a sound choice, given that some of the quicker guys that we were looking at were very... Oh, in fact, I think Danny was the quickest, wasn't he, earlier when we were looking at the warm-up timings? So we'll have to keep an eye on Danny as we progress through the evening. Now, you'll notice as well, perhaps if you've had a little look, there's some names you might not have recognised. There's some non-iRacing UK drivers as well, so the likes of Kochi, and we've also got Mikael Anderson in there, Alexander Betak, so lots of different names there, Thomas Mokek. So just really going to show how much support there is out there for this cause tonight. Obviously we're all racing here for charity, for Katie, to make sure that we bring all the support possible, and it really has garnered people from around the world to come and join in the spectacle that is this lovely race that we have here on a Wednesday evening at Silverstone. Now, Sean, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but we've covered a lot about what the obviously what we're racing tonight, the kind of drivers that we've got out there. Now, I don't think we've commentated together on any of the iRacing UK content for quite some time, if ever. So I have to ask, what are you looking forward to the most out of this evening's action?
Well, no, I don't think we have commentated together ever, so this is all new. Tonight, I'm just looking for some good, clean, hard racing, to be honest. There's guys here of all different abilities. I think we've got guys up to 5.5, 6k, all the way down to less than 1k. So it's all about being safe and being sensible and driving for the cause and not driving for yourself, I reckon.
Put the egos to one side. It's time to get ready to grid up. Now we've got John Edwards back in the pit lane after setting that one lap to just make sure that we've got him at the start as the pace car. That's the way we have to do it with the mechanics of iRacing here. But nonetheless, it works, so we'll take it. Brilliant stuff. So we've got a few lunatics that have chosen the McLaren. Sean, I think you used to be one of those, didn't you?
No, I'm not a GT3 driver at all, actually. I don't own the McLaren. It's one of the few I don't own. I do like the Lambo, though. The Lambo is my favourite GT3.
I found my comfort zone with the Mercedes long time ago when I first got into GT3 racing, and also doing a few of the longer Saturday endurances, those 3 hours, or the kind of, I guess they're a bit of an introduction to endurance almost. Not quite what we'll be doing tonight. Tonight's more of a sprint format with 40 minutes of racing here at Silverstone. Now, the important thing to remember is that we are racing to make sure that we're getting around the track all together, hopefully everyone finishing the race this evening, which does mean that we've got the damage turned off just to make things a little bit more amicable on the track tonight. So hopefully any bumps and bangs that do happen won't wreck any races for anybody, and people will be quite happy to get back on the tarmac and pick up their race and continue on. Silverstone, obviously a fantastic track and one that everyone's going to enjoy, and a real classic for a lot of the drivers here. It's very rare that you'll find somebody in iRacing that hasn't been around the Silverstone circuit. Well, unless of course they're an oval driver. We won't talk about those. So back out to the grid. We're going to be going now with our drivers. Another little
got a warm up.
Just coming out, a little warm up, yeah, for our guys to go and get used to the circuit. 5 minutes around the Silverstone circuit, so they can get their eye in, find their lines. Then there is a few different lines you can take here. So I mean, if I was to talk, for example, about the first couple of corners here, so we've got obviously off the line or the Hamilton straight, if you prefer. You've got Abbey, Farm and Village. The first couple of corners there are really, really quick in any of these cars, to be honest. That fast right-hander of Abbey, you've obviously got a lot of speed from the Hamilton straight. And then going too wide into there can be really dicey in the early laps. The cold tyres can make all the difference. And then the run down into Village really is going to be a game of bravery on the brakes. That right-hand turn takes us up into Loop, which again, in these GT3 cars, can actually be quite a tricky corner, especially, for example, if you're a sim racer with only, maybe like a 27-inch screen. If you've only got a small one, if you've got an ultra wide, something like that, and you can see left and right, you've got a lot more visibility on that Loop corner. It gives you a hell of a lot more confidence to make that turn in, knowing that you're not going to hit anybody, and you can actually see the apex, which can be quite difficult sometimes in that single screen life. Now, Aintree is a very quick corner they'll come into after the Village and Loop section. That's going to be near enough flat out for a lot of these guys, and then that takes us into the long run down in the Wellington straight. Again, a great opportunity here to take advantage of a bit of slipstream and see if our drivers can get side by side as they head down into the delicate section that is Brooklands and Luffield. Now, it is actually possible to kind of push someone into a bit of a funny line into Brooklands, and then the end result is their entry into Luffield can be a little bit compromised. If you've got a bit of extra speed because you were able to put that pressure on and pick your own line nice and carefully, you've absolutely got a chance to line it up nicely for that run round Woodcote and then up to Copse. That long straight, the old pit straight, will prove to be also a point where our drivers can really start to have a little look around one another. But hopefully we won't see the kind of Hamilton Verstappen nonsense into Copse that Formula One lot provides. So the GT3 car is a bit more resilient than a Formula One car as well. So even if it does have a little bit of a bump and tap the wall, these guys, with no damage turned on, can absolutely carry on 50 Gs or not. Now, the really brilliant thing about these GT3 cars is just the choice that our drivers have got now. Over the years, obviously, iRacing has been developing and adding more of these cars in, even refining some of the ones that we've already got. So the real variation tonight includes those Mercedes, the Lamborghini Huracan, the Audi, the Ferrari. We've got the BMW, a fan favourite recently, and then a few Fords as well in the form of Austin William Campbell, one of the Ford drivers. And then also we've got the likes of Damien Lobert in the Ferrari. So loads of Ferraris. Obviously, being a fixed series available here in iRacing, it does obviously increase the popularity of it, and thus the kind of the density of Ferraris in the field is slightly higher. So don't be surprised if you've seen a lot of Ferraris on your screen tonight. We promised it's not a fixed session. It really is a multi-brand event this evening here on the circuit. A couple of McLarens. A lot of people would refer to the McLaren as an absolute death trap in previous seasons. Jack Atkins obviously isn't afraid of that, neither's Chris Edisford. Maybe there'll be famous last words. We'll keep an eye on Chris, see if he makes it round lap one. And but the sensible ones amongst you will choose the Mercedes. That nice comfort zone, yeah, a lovely little Mercedes. They make a real interesting grumble, the Mercedes. And if you ever have one storm past you on the pit straight or something like that, the noise of the engine really is quite interesting in the Merc on this sim. Absolutely brilliant to listen to. One of the reasons I've really enjoyed driving it personally. The Lambos are a kind of have been a bit of a staple favourite in some of the leagues previously, Sean. I know you mentioned you quite like it, but what would you say is going to be the strongest one around Silverstone this evening?
The GT3s haven't run around here for an absolute age. I don't think we've had any. We may have had one season of the Lambo Evo, but that's it. So it's a bit of a mystery, really. I think looking at the timing screen is the only the real way we're going to see it. I would expect to see BMWs up top, to be completely honest, with the way this circuit is. But it could go towards the Ferrari and it could go towards the Porsche.
Well, the Nürburgring was the one that really showed where, the BMW strength. I think in both the pro and the elite races, BMWs really ruled the roost. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came out as the dominant vehicle here. But Obviously, not about dominance, about the cause. We're here to race for Katie. Make sure you check out that link in the video description down below. That's where you'll find the fundraiser page on Facebook. We'd really appreciate it if you headed over there and make sure you give a little donation to the cause. We are ready to get underway now. We just need all of our cars to get ready and grid up, and as soon as they're there, we'll have the pace car taking us off for that first lap. Obviously, you can see the iRacing safety car, which will dive in, and John will lead us around the first lap of the track before we get properly underway. It should be absolutely fantastic, audience. I'm really looking forward to this. The racing has always been amazing here on amongst all of these guys, and the light's now going to go out as they will trundle away around this half lap to get us underway here at Silverstone. So away they go, that safety car rolling off. But let's keep an eye here on John Edwards, because he will be our real safety car for that first lap as he leads us around Silverstone. Looking down the order, everyone will be going side by side. Hopefully you'll be able to see those fantastic liveries that we've got here for the race for Katie. The lights, when they do go out, if you're seeing them on your screen, please do disregard them, because that won't be the actual start of this race. Now you'll see that everybody normally files around the circuit 2 by 2 here. In the GT3s, you have a lane left of cars and a lane right. That's the way that we do things here, and a few people just put in pedal to the metal a little bit there by the looks of it, and as they see the green light go out. But it's not time to go racing yet, guys. Keep it real. We've still got another lap of just cruising around here at Silverstone. This is a real honour to watch. Actually, it's not very often that we get to see a long parade lap like this. It's quite impressive, actually. It's quite a spectacle. The cleanest first lap we'll ever have in an iRacing UK race.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get any as clean as this. I mean, overtaking, it's a bit hit and miss, but they're making the move stick for sure.
Yeah, they're. If I was trying to commentate side-by-side battles, there'd be a bit too many of them right now, wouldn't there? I think the animals came in 2 by 2, quite literally here. So you might see that timing tower with drivers kind of flicking around a little bit. Don't worry about that for the minute. It's not real. It's all fake at the minute. So we'll carry on just watching them as they come into Brooklands and Luffield here. This will be an absolutely fantastic bit of the circuit to watch. Let's keep an eye on John here. Maybe we could just go on board with John for a second and just show you what the run down to Copse looks like for one of our drivers. As we come down here, nice and steady. Obviously, this is almost like he's in slow motion, but this straight, I will absolutely expect to see a few onboards here as we go like down into Copse. It'll be really hairy. This is obviously the chilled way around for John. And you can just see how the corner, it dips away from you, right? You can't see, it's blind because of that barrier on the right hand side there. So it's a real test for the drivers here, but obviously with no penalties, maybe some people will be getting a bit tempted to go out really wide on the left to try and carry the speed. Let's go back out from the cockpit now as we just go into the complex here. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Brilliant section of track. Again, one where I think it'll be fantastic to see some of our drivers going around here tonight. Obviously, again, with the split of skills and the variation that we've got on the grid, all of there'll be some people with a lot more confidence going into this section that really want to just absolutely dive for it, and they'll surely gain some places around here as some people get compromised exits out of those corners. We're very much ready to get underway here. The run down to Stowe now before we come into the final section of the circuit, and the safety car will dive off into the pits. Thank you very much to John Edwards here for leading us around this first lap, this parade lap here on the race for Katie. But we are very much nearly ready to get underway here at Silverstone.
Off John goes. Let's take a look at the guys at the front, shall we?
Let's go over to them now. Yep. So Jack Atkinson there, and then he's got James Armstrong next to him. What a great pair to lead us off here today. As we come around the final corner and we're about to get underway, the GT3 cars go racing for Katie here at Silverstone on a Wednesday evening for you, and it's a great start for Jack Atkinson. He has dived off in that McLaren into the distance into turn 1, and then James Armstrong keeping a look in behind him, nice and tidy so far through the first section of the circuit.
James.
This has been brilliant. James has just dropped off, I think. We just see the spin. Oh yeah, he spun on the second corner there. Wow, that was a bit intense. I've seen a lot of switching between cars and a bit of blinking here. Let's go to Thomas Muckett for a minute. He's looking like he's okay in 6th position. Car number 144 there. As we come around Aintree and down onto the Wellington Straight. Wow, I'm not sure what was going on there. I think Atkinson still managing to keep it ahead at the moment, looking strong there, but there's an absolute tussle in the middle here. Thomas, we've got Austin, William, Campbell, Harry Gaylor, all swapping places around here into Luffield and Brooklands. Side-by-side action, bit of bump in there between the Ford and the Mercedes. Absolutely nose-to-tail stuff. This is brilliant. And there goes Cy Anthony. He's trying it round the outside as well. Absolutely rambunctious this lot in the GT3s. The Ferraris as well here of Cy Anthony. And then there's car number 5 there, the Ferrari. Behind him, so flashing the light saying let me through, I'm quicker. As we go into Copse, everyone's nice and clean through Copse. I don't see anybody off there, people making the most of the track. Oh, there's one in the background, there's a BMW going drifting in the background of Copse. He's off the circuit, everyone's having to dodge him. That's Andrew Jones, car number 25. Take a bow, sir. What a performance. That was what a manoeuvre that was. If it was ballet, then absolutely you'd get a score of 10, but not here in racing. So recover the car back into the complex. Let's go over to Mr. Busby. Paul Busby here, car number 420, and he's having a decent strong race at the moment. P11. Brilliant stuff here from Paul. He's tucked in very nicely behind car number 29 there. Really nose to tail stuff here at Silverstone. Really loving every bit of the action. Down he goes round the outside. There goes Paul Busby into the final chicane. That was an absolute ace manoeuvre in the Porsche. He's absolutely done him there. Go on, Busby, into the final straight. Now we go, and there's absolute action everywhere. You can see that Mercedes there dancing around the back of a few cars. There's more Ferraris here on the home straight as well. Stuart Bickley going into turn 1. People kicking up a bit of dust there on the curbs on the inside as we now head into the first sector of the circuit. Wow, this has been absolutely brilliant so far. Car number 151 there, diving down the inside. That was brilliant. A bit of tyre smoke as well. Car 44 dropping down. I'm not sure who that one is. Paul Busby's also dropped down a little bit, I think, as well. So I think we've lost a few there in the first sector. That might be why we had a little bit of a blip there as well. Cars flickering all over the place, but it's really still going on. Stuart Bickley in 16th position there. Look at him go. He's absolutely flying at the minute. Nearly got caught up in some of that turn 1 action, but he's very confident on the brakes here into Luffield as we come up to Brooklands. BMW behind him though, and I'm sure that BMW is going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to get around. It looks like it's much quicker at the moment than Stuart Bickley. I think that's Peter Cox. Yes, it absolutely is Peter Cox in the BMW. Car number 68, looking very quick so far. In fact, I think his last lap was considerably quicker than Bickley. So let's see. Peter Cox obviously managed to keep himself out of trouble so far. That's Will Goldborn in the background. Wow, Will's normally a really strong GT3 driver. We've followed him through a number of the races, but obviously not working out for him today. There's been a lot of these off tracks. Oh, there goes another one. Peter Cox has gone off. He's already down a few places, and now he's dropping down even more. 17th, 20. Oh my God, so many. Oh, we've got cars all over the place. This is not clean at all at the moment here at Silverstone. It's a very busy circuit, and with no damage turned on, people are getting maybe a little bit too close for comfort around this circuit this evening. It's maybe just a tad disappointing to see that kind of thing, but nonetheless, a Destruction Derby may provide some entertainment for those of you out there. Let's go up to the front of the order here, where we've got Richard Simnell and Jack Atkinson racing here. Lambo versus McLaren. It's incredibly close between these two at the moment. Wow, car number 39 up ahead. Jack Atkinson's had a very clean race so far with nobody really bothering him at all, but now Richard Simnell really pushing quite hard. This is brilliant stuff here at the front of the order. Chris Foskett now is going for some overtakes further back in the field. This is car number 611 on your screen, that Porsche of Chris Foskett. 38th position at the moment on the grid. I've just seen Greenwood drop behind Cox as well. Chris Foskett is an incredibly quick driver. We've seen him in last Sunday's GT3 League. And look at him go this evening, driving very, very well. I mean, he's down, yeah, all the way down in 38th, but nonetheless, he's pulling a few moves here on Beamers. He's putting people in the dust here at every opportunity. Up one place so far. I think he must have started quite far down. Maybe he didn't qualify, but we'll keep an eye on what Chris has got. A few more moves. I'm sure Stuart Bickley having a bit of a slow moment there. Looks like he's got a Lamborghini on the outside as we go into Cox. They've left each other room though. That's fantastic. But Paul Busby's right behind them. He's going to want a piece of this action in a minute, isn't he? He's now right up alongside that Lamborghini. And as we go into the complex here, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, he's absolutely done everybody there, hasn't he? He's just got Bickley left to do. Flying through the order is Paul Busby.
Yeah, that was brilliant move. Bickley and Busby going at it again by the looks of it.
Side by side as we go onto the run now down into Stowe. Bickley on the inside tries to defend it, but Busby's really strong around the outside. He's found all the grip that he needs, but that's going to set him up nicely because he's going to be on the inside for this final chicane here at Silverstone, and he's got the move done very comfortably. He can move on to his next target now, which is going to be Crawford up ahead. Bickley dropping back behind. That's a shame for him on this occasion. Now a little bit further back down the order, you've got cars 144 and 29 here side by side. That's Thomas and Kochi we've got here fighting for P number 19 as we go into turn 1 side by side. This is brilliant, all the time slowing each other down for the guys that are trying to race them behind. The Ferraris trying to get a look in here, and car number 29 goes down the inside to try and defend, but car number 10 there, that's Mike Ellis, has managed to get ahead. And now, oh, we've got a spinner. That's Rob Armstrong there, I believe, that's just managed to spin in the Mercedes. We'll have to maybe see a replay of that in a minute. But the battle is still absolutely raging here for P21. These guys absolutely giving it all here.
Yeah, some interesting lines coming down that straight for sure. I don't know where that was it, that number 144 car was going there.
They're diving left and right. Oh, I think we've just got a bit of contact behind there as the entry to into Brooklands. That was at least one car sideways. There's Damien G. D to the A to the M to the I to the A to the Damien G, as he reminded me his name is like Ali G. That's how he reminds me how to pronounce it for him in these broadcasts. The Ferrari not looking too stable there into Brooklands. Sean's laughing, and he's not like his background laughter where he can get away with doing it now. He's actually being heard out loud for a change. So, James Parker, P6, big battle going on here up the order. This is absolutely fantastic stuff that we've got so far at Silverstone. Plenty of action. There's almost a bit too much going on for us to look at everything on your screens. Great move there into Stowe, but it's not over yet as James Parker moves to the outside here for the final chicane. He's not quite able to get it done, but that defensive manoeuvre from the BMW of Richard Jepp ahead has compromised the exit speed a little bit, I think, and the line for Richard. So maybe James Parker's pressure in car number 28 there has just been enough to line him up nicely for some kind of manoeuvre on the way up into turn 1 here, but they're definitely not close enough. But I tell you who is close enough is James Armstrong as he goes up the inside here of Taylor Oldham. No, he's just held back so he doesn't get involved in any incidents there, but he's obviously quicker than the cars ahead and he really wants a piece of the action. James down in 24th, obviously a little bit of an incident earlier at the start. We've got a Ferrari over there in the distance. This is really heating up to be quite interesting so far. James Armstrong down into turn 3 here, and it looks like he's got a very nice clean line there as we now go up into the loop. An absolute sea of cars behind him though, so if he makes one little incident, one little problem here for himself, or steps out of line, maybe he doesn't find the grip that he needs, he's going to get absolutely swamped by those guys behind. But look at the run he's got down on the way into the straight here, up the inside of that Audi. He's going to do it into left field. That is excellent stuff. Car number 47, James Armstrong, that Lamborghini really showing what it's made of. Take a bow, James Armstrong. Great stuff here. Sorry, that was Brooklands. I just misnamed the corner as well. It wasn't left field. That was Brooklands. But nonetheless, it was still fantastic, is what it was. He's absolutely going to be after the next driver at the order, which is going to be Murray Lucan. We'll go back to that in a little bit, but Paul Busby now putting the fight up again here. He's got past Holloway, and oh no, he's dropped back down the order. He must have had an incident, Sean, I think, because he was ahead of Bickley and now he's not.
He was ahead of Bickley and he span coming out of the lap after he passed Bickley, and he's made his way up past a couple of cars since, and the car in front of him now is actually Bickley again. So it'd be interesting to see if he can catch up.
Well, at the minute, I think he's definitely got the pace on him. Obviously, no damage on the car whatsoever, so he's absolutely not at any disadvantage. So really, it's all his to lose because Paul's obviously got the pace, and we've known from past performances that he's really got the moves to go with it. I'm sure this is the guy that went K in a week just doing like fixed Laguna races in the Ferrari, so he really knows how to apply that skill absolutely to his advantage here in iRacing. As we have a little look here at Stuart Bickley again for the moment. Now, the order of things is starting to settle down a little bit here at Silverstone. We've had a lot of the silly nonsense in the early portion of the race, a lot of the contact and the spins, and now we're getting into these little pockets of action that start to develop across the race here in these GT3 races. And one of those pockets of action here being headed up by car number 34 of Stuart Bickley. That Ferrari now having to defend very heavily down the Wellington against Paul Busby, who doesn't really look like he's closing up the gap very much at all. Adam Holloway is looking behind. Oh, he has now actually with that slipstream, hasn't he, as we now go into Luffield. I think this run on up to Copse, it won't quite be the move, but he'll definitely be a bit closer. The gap's growing. Holloway is the one that's really chomping away at Paul now. I wonder if Holloway is going to be the one to watch for a move. Look at the closeness. That's almost as close as Paul was to Bickley a couple of corners ago. So something must be going on for Paul. He's obviously not quite comfortable as comfortable as we thought he was earlier in this race. Look at Holloway now having a little look on the entry into Maggots. I don't think that's quite the place to be doing it though at the moment. Plenty of race left to go. We're only 15 minutes in this 40-minute extravaganza tonight, and it has been incredibly entertaining thus far. Now let's go to a different portion of the pack here. Matt Edmondson is in his Ferrari trying to make some places up to P25 if he can here. Car number 10 that is on your screens, the Ferrari chasing another Ferrari along here, and then a Porsche leading them up. Train of cars here. So we've got Matty Laycock, John Watt, Mikkel Anderson, Alex William, all of these guys caught up in the action here. That Porsche there just diving a little bit deep into Stowe by the looks of it. I don't think that we've had too much of a change around there, but into the chicane we go now. Who's going to get brave? That Audi is definitely going to get brave. That was, I think that was Mikkel Anderson. That was very, very dicey from Mikkel into P27. He went there heavy on the brakes and absolutely bravo. I don't think there was any contact there, and I think he pretty much made it in clean. Everyone just gave him the space to throw it in there, and he absolutely chucked it is what he did. Oh, someone dropping down a little bit there. I think that might have been Matt Edmondson that we've just seen lose a couple of places. It absolutely was, and now that's going to open up the door for Mikkel Anderson to try and take another place here. Not quite though, as they go round the loop. That's going to cost Mikkel. He's actually going to lose 2 from that, and now we go into Aintree. We'll have down the Wellington straight, but that was the rise and fall of Mikkel that you just got to witness there. Up 2 places and then brought straight back down to earth again. Right, we carry on now with Matt Edmondson. So car number 10 here. He's really been showing us what he's got. There's a lot going on here in this mid-pack of cars. BMWs, Ferraris and Porsches all getting involved in the mix, and not to forget that one solitary Audi as well. John Watt trying to get around Matt Edmondson now. The Porsche and Ferrari going absolutely head-to-head here as we go now into Copse. Oh, we've got someone off. That was Patrick Bennett, I think, dropping down the... Oh, no, sorry. Or Mikkel Anderson, possibly. I've seen one of them dropping off the timing tower. Wow, that was a little bit of a tap into Copse. I wonder, do you reckon we can get a replay of that in a minute, Sean?
I'll see what we can do.
We'll see what we can do. But
trying to find out who it was at the moment.
It was a bit of a tap, wasn't it? I think they got back on track. I've got a feeling it was Mikkel Anderson or Peter Cox possibly, because he's the BMW that was involved in this little pack here, I think, maybe. So could be that one. We'll have a look in a minute. But let's have a little nose over now at Murray Luca. A bit of a battle going on here into the final chicane. Car number 16 of Murray Luca. We've seen Murray in a number of races now, had great results, but tonight in the Ferrari, currently in P20, and under a bit of pressure from Tyler Oldham behind. So Tyler and then also Oldham and Mokek behind him. having a little bit of a race between themselves as well. Oh, compromised entry for Luca there, and it looks like that's going to open the door for the two behind. But actually, I think they've ended up having compromised lines themselves just by having to avoid Luca, who was very much slower and in the way of them as they were carrying that extra speed. So Luca now on the outside, he's a bit wide there, and that's going to absolutely open the door into entry for car number 9 of Tyler Oldham. And he's made it through, but also car number 144 there of Mokek, he's also going to make it through that Porsche. No, he's tucked in behind again. He's let it happen. It looked like he had the pace there down the Wellington Straight, but he's just backed off enough there, and that's Murray Luca just only losing 1 place instead of 2 on this occasion.
Quite tight up front now. This is Cy Anthony.
The gap's really coming down between, as we said, these little pockets starting to form across the race this evening. Cy Anthony being the not quite the lead car in one of them, but at least at the front of it. Josh Wilson is the lead car in this little four-way battle, and Josh is up about 11 places so far. I'm sure, yeah, he definitely started much further down the order than that. So brilliant stuff from Josh so far, and he's one of actually the AM League racers, I believe. So not his native vehicle of choice, and I think he's going to be under a bit of pressure here because Cy Anthony is really having a look. I think he didn't quite fancy the move on this occasion, Cy, but he's lined up the final corner here just nicely enough that he should have a little bit of a slipstream run down to turn 1. Now, I'm not saying that gap's going to be close enough for a move here, but he's absolutely going to be ready to start getting it lined up as we head into the later portions of this lap. Now, we're coming towards the halfway point now, around 20 minutes almost past in this race. Yeah, I can't believe it either. It is absolutely flying past. Now, just a reminder, there's the link to the Facebook fundraiser page in the video description down below. While you're watching this racing, why not head over there, give it a click, and why don't you put a few pennies in there as well? It would be very much greatly appreciated. The link in the video description. Now let's go back over to Alex Williams, car number 31 here. Sorry, no, car number 7 in P31. Getting myself mixed up there. He's getting overtaken here by a Ferrari here. I believe that's David Stewart getting around him. Brilliant manoeuvre there, nice and tidy into the first section of the circuit. Car number 11 coming off on top there. Absolutely great stuff. Oh, but into loop. That was a bit deep into loop, and that compromised the exit speed. So that BMW actually managing to catch up a little bit. Oh, we've got some action behind another Beamer that's just managed to spin round. That's Andrew Jones dropping down the order. He's had an instant. Let's go over to that. He's off track there already, and then he tried to rejoin, and he's hit the grass, and that rejoin is atrocious.
Yeah, he's picked up the grass there a little bit, trying to come on. He's put his foot down. He's come across the grass, and the car's just spun on him. And he was lucky, really, not to take anyone else with him.
Yeah, everyone's just managed to get out of that unscathed apart from him, really. I mean, we keep reminding you, but damage is turned off on these vehicles this evening. So even if he had caused something, it would have really just been a bit of an inconvenience. Stuart Bickley versus Paul Busby. This battle ensues. This has been going on for a few laps now, and they're going side by side around Stowe there, with Paul now picking up that inside line for the chicane, and not much Bickley can do about it but yield. But no, Bickley doesn't want to yield. He wants to push Paul to the limits here, defend him for his life in that Ferrari, but Paul's still just got his nose ahead there, and as he uses all the track to his advantage there, Paul Busby has managed to gain a place. Now, I don't think there's a slowdown there, but I tell you what has slowed down is Bickley a little bit. There was just a bit of extra pressure from that Lamborghini, obviously, with the compromised speed from the fight with Paul. Adam Holloway fancying his chances around Bickley, who I believe Holloway probably is in a position actually to put some pressure on Bickley, because he was getting pretty close to the likes of Paul Busby earlier in this race, and that Lamborghini is a pretty strong GT3 car in terms of the balance of power of these various brands that we have here. Further back behind them, we've got a little Mercedes. That is the Mercedes of Harry Gaylor. He's kind of having a bit of a race on his own at the minute. We did see him getting involved in the action earlier on. Currently in P14. Lovely looking Merc there. We're very much a fan of that car. And yeah, at the minute, just having a fairly solitary race, getting on with it, and not much more to say. We should just have a little look, I suppose, at the P1, P2 battle, because that is really starting to heat up, I think. There's
P2, P3, I think, actually.
P2, P3, that's actually the real battle that we need to watch. Richard Simnor and Danny Gosling putting each other's skills to the test. You can see here that Danny has absolutely got a run here in that Audi, the slipstream making a hell of a difference to his pace, but he's not able to get it done here into Stowe. He's pretty wide, in fact, into Stowe. That's really compromised the gap that he had to the back of Simner in the Lamborghini ahead. Now, car number 30, you'll see there, the Lamborghini. We were just mentioning a minute ago how strong they are. The Audi's actually not very well represented here this evening, with only 3, I think, on the grid. But nonetheless, one of the stronger contenders here, as you can see, as they go down the pit straight. The long run here will allow a bit of slipstreaming to occur, and that will mean that Danny can just edge that little bit closer than he needs to try and have another go at getting around Richard. Now, this section, as they run up into loop, as the tyres start to drop off a little bit, the fuel load starts to change, the dynamics of these corners really starts to change as well. So you drop down that gear that you normally do, and maybe you just start to feel the back end of the car getting a bit looser than usual as the track and vehicle both develop together. That might play a part in these races as they go on. We'll certainly keep an eye out and see if anybody starts to make any minor errors as things develop here. Danny Gosling still looking strong. He's much closer now than he was a moment ago as we go on the run now into the old pit lane straight here. The gap very, very close now to him and Simnor. Hopefully at the run down to Cox here, he's having a little look, isn't he? I don't think he's going to be quite brave enough. Edges off the throttle just a bit earlier, but he's managed to get a better exit speed there than Simner ahead of him. Is there going to be something to be done here as they go into the complex? I don't think he's going to want to do it. No, he's tucked in behind. He was having a real look to see if he could spook Richard there. But on this occasion, it's just not going to happen. Let's see who gets the better exit speed. I wonder if that bit of pressure that he's put on the Lamborghini driver ahead of him has compromised the kind of speed that he'll get out of it. And it looks like they're fairly evenly matched at the minute, apart from the fact that Gosling has got that slipstream. It's making a difference now, but as they get into Stowe, he's just not close enough, and Richard closes the door on the inside there, compromising his speed. But they've taken the same line, so they shouldn't be much apart really in terms of the gap at the end of that. No, they're not. They're really close still. Look at them go. There's another fight here. Carl Cranswick, we haven't covered Carl at all this evening. He's racing the Porsche here, car number 36 on your screens. He's currently following along behind Mokek here, also in the Porsche car number 144 ahead. Now, Carl's a really strong driver. We've seen him in Formula 3 and other disciplines as well. He even joined us in the Radical Leagues a few times, where he was always consistently the kind of guy that would turn up and be quicker than you, and it was really, really annoying. Now Carl here in the Porsche, not looking quicker than Mokek ahead of him at the minute, still trying to close that gap up, trying to have a nice tidy race, but we have seen car 144 make a few errors throughout this race session and move up and down the order a little bit. He's currently up 5 positions, and I think Carl maybe just struggling to maintain that gap. Carl has got an Audi to worry about, and that's the Audi of Alexander Betak behind him. So Alexander also looking like he's having a pretty strong race at the moment, up 19 I think according to my SDK, so that is a brilliant performance. I say, and I might have just cursed him because it looked like he had a slow exit there as he was chasing behind Paul.
Yeah, a bit of a late break there I think into turn 3.
Well, maybe that Audi may be showing why it's not popular if you get yourself into little incidents like that, or maybe it was just down to pure driver error. We'll never know unless we speak to him. But we're not doing interviews today on this occasion. We're just watching the racing. So 26 minutes have now passed through this race, audience. This has been great stuff to watch so far, with Atkinson still very much at the head of the pack, and then Simner and Gosling have been scrapping over P2 and P3 for the last little while. Their gap coming down a little bit now, but look at that, diving left and right is the Audi behind. That was a great shot to cut to right there. And as we go into Stowe, I really do think that Danny Gosling is going to get this move done eventually. Richard's just making that Lamborghini so wide at the minute. But the thing that is interesting is look how close Austin William Campbell is now getting behind them in that Ford. The Ford is absolutely getting a first class ticket here to watch the show that is going on ahead of him for P2 and P3. We go into turn 1. This is an absolute brilliant section to watch it, because you just don't know which one of these guys is going to try a late braking manoeuvre, a slightly different line. They've both got the apex nicely dialed in there. And now as we go into loop, the trickier section, I think Gosling's got the better exit there. He absolutely has. and Simler going that a little bit wider, and that's going to mean that Gosling's got a better run as we now head down the Wellington Straight from Aintree, diving all over the place. Richard really defending super duper hard at the moment, making it incredibly difficult for Danny, and that's not giving him any options. He really doesn't know where he's, and the blocking manoeuvres here, like a brick wall made out of Lamborghinis. So the interesting thing now is all of that diving around has compromised Richard, and look at the run that Danny's got. They could actually be going side by side here into Copse. I think they're going to do it. He's around the outside. He's going to try it. No, he's gone and given him loads of room there. They are still side by side, but he's just lost a bit of traction there on the exit, and Alex Gosling just about surviving and not losing that position to Austin in the Ford behind him. Time to recover now in that Audi. Keep it real for a minute. Take it easy. Take a few deep breaths and try it again on the next lap. Austin will be chomping at the bit to try and get around and try and capitalise on this fight, and he absolutely might if that kind of manoeuvre happens again.
That was breathtaking there into Beckett's.
Every minute of that.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to be at it for a while as well. There's no splitting the three of them, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see that Beamer behind actually catch up and join them as a group of four soon.
You're absolutely right, and actually for the first time there we just saw Gosling being the one that fended a little bit. Austin was having a look to the outside and just saying, hello, I'm still here in my Ford, and Gosling was thinking, no, absolutely not, I'm going to close the door. This is my fight ahead that I want to have. And even now you can see gap started to open up as these guys start to follow each other really, really closely again into the first sector. Gosling at it again. He's on the charge. He really fancies his chances here, and I'm not surprised because he's been so strong so far throughout this circuit and this little event that we've had this evening. And we've got a bit of action behind. I think that was Simler that's off the circuit. Simler's dropped down. As we go into Loop is where he's not been strong, and yet he's had the same kind of exit that he had out of Loop last time, where he was a little bit wider than Gosling, and this time he's just obviously shifted down. As we said, the track develops, the car develops, and what's happened there is Simler pushing hard, trying to defend from Gosling. He's just got it wrong on this occasion, and the car didn't do what he was expecting it to do into Loop. Easy to do. I've made that mistake a number of times, whether it be silly downshifts or just not really knowing what kind of entry speed I've got. It can happen to all of us. Now we're going to go and have a little look at the Holloway and Busby fight, because Bickley is back ahead again, and Bickley still looking really, really strong here, and Holloway's hanging onto the back of these guys just as he has been for the pretty much the entirety of this race. I think this trio has been swapping places, trading them like Pokemon cards, and just having a bit of fun here out on the Silverstone circuit. Not really, we're not all here, we're not here for the podium. We're here for racing for Katie. We're here to raise money for that fundraiser, which you can find the link for in the video description down below. Now back on this Lamborghini here of Holloway, he's going to try and take advantage here of the slipstream from Paul. He's kind of getting a double slipstream though, with Bickley also carving a tunnel through the air. But they're all taking separate lines here, trying to defend. Bickley taking that tighter inside line to try and close the door, but that compromises the exit speed, and he's forced to defend on the inside again as Busby tries around the outside. We're watching from Holloway's view here on the hood of his car, and Busby has got a great run out of the last corner, but it's not quite enough. He's going to be compromised on the entry into the final corner. Runs incredibly wide side by side here with Bickley going down into turn one. This is going to be fantastic. Bickley on the inside, Busby around the outside. He's done it. He's taken the place back from Bickley, and that was absolutely fantastic driving from both of them. Ever so clean, not a tap between them. And Holloway still very much the voyeur in this little battle that we've got going on ahead of him in for P11 and 10. This has been absolutely awesome to watch so far. I'm surprised that we haven't seen these guys kind of have a bit of contact so far, because they've been absolutely wheel arch to wheel arch, nose to bumper every time that we go back over to them.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to their driving ability, to be completely honest. They know what the cause is about today. They're just trying to keep it on track and provide a bit of entertainment for us.
Absolutely, and obviously experienced drivers here from from various different disciplines. They've all driven Silverstone for the most part in one car or another, and it's a circuit that's very easy to predict where you can give a bit of room, and there's plenty of tarmac for everyone to share here. So Bickley using a bit more of it than he's technically entitled to there, but nonetheless we'll let him have it tonight. And now that's looking like Holloway is starting to close up that gap even more, and Busby managing to just dart off a little bit ahead of Bickley. Bickley's gap opening up ahead and closing down behind. Now, Simner is still down in 6th position. We'll keep an eye though on him, because he was obviously one of the quicker drivers at the front of the order, and he's going to be trying his luck to get around Damien Lobbett ahead. So Damien in the Ferrari, it's going to be Lamborghini and we'll see which one of them is going to come out on top. About 7 minutes to go now around the circuit. We've had 33 so far. It's only a 40-minute race. It's been absolutely fantastic so far to see all of the action from across the GT3 field as we continue on board here with Damien Lobbett in car number 5. The Ferrari is very much looking to try and defend that position from Richard behind after Richard had that earlier incident, trying a bit too hard to hold off Mr. Gosling ahead. The Lambo's been really strong here tonight. I think every time we've gone to a Lambo, it's been following incredibly closely in some battle, but never quite the lead car. So maybe actually not as good as we're saying, but nonetheless still competitive. And all of these drivers have been able to put on consistent pressure throughout the race, no matter what their background and discipline. Oh, a bit wide there from Damien, drifting that Ferrari. That's going to mean that the entry speed here is compromised, and I think that Simner will probably get a much better exit there in the Lambo. He absolutely has a gap coming down now with the slipstream advantage as we go on the run down into Copse. I definitely expect, if it doesn't happen here, we'll see something into the Wellington. A flash of the lights from that Lambo there, just try to let him know I'm going to be coming for you in a minute. And I think he's almost close enough to do it into the entry of the complex here. I don't think, though, that Ferrari ahead wants to give up the position. He absolutely doesn't. You're not having this, mate. I'm not obliged to give up the position. That Lamborghini's going to have to put all the effort in here. Simner, I hope, will have a nice exit here with a nice sprint down into the Wellington straight. The gap, actually, not as close as maybe it should have been. Those lights still flashing. Less flashing, more flashy overtakes. Come on, Richard. You know you don't get the right to be let by here. The last chicane here, not really an overtaking spot for him. I don't think that he's going to be able to get it done here. That Ferrari ahead, still defending very, very comfortably. Let's go now over to Holloway though, because the manoeuvres are really heating up here as we go again into that final chicane. Bickley's having to defend hard again against that Lamborghini, but Paul Busby's not nearly as far ahead as he was a moment ago. That gap has come back down to Bickley, and Bickley having to be part of he's the Ferrari meat in a sandwich of a Lamborghini and Porsche bread here as we go into turn 1 again. All these cars following each other nicely in a single file line through the first section of the circuit. Will there be a braking manoeuvre here? No, not at all, but Paul looks like he's getting a bit squiffy there under braking. And as we come into loop, who's going to have the better line? I think they've all had a really tidy line into that loop there, actually. So great exits all around. And now as we go for that run down Wellington, I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic to watch for the remaining 4 minutes. We've only got 4 minutes left here at Silverstone this evening for the race for Katie, and it has absolutely delivered so far.
Oh yeah, it's been thoroughly entertaining. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's gone really, really quickly, actually. What I've noticed is the mix of cars has been fantastic. The current leader is a McLaren, then we've got an Audi, a Ford, a Beamer, a Lambo, then a Ferrari, and then a Porsche. I think that's one of each car in the race in the top 7 spaces.
I'm surprised to see that the McLaren survived at the top there. Oh, we've got a back marker there, or a slow car getting in the way of this fight possibly. Busby's going to try and get around that car. I think it might have been, is it Paul Crawford or is it another car from further back down the order? I'm not sure. We'll have to see in a minute. I think it might be a back marker possibly, but Paul Busby has managed to get round. Oh no, it was Damien Lobbett. He's dropped down a little bit from where he was further at the order, so he's not a back marker. Damien had a little bit of an incident there. What happened to Damien? Oh, he was in that fight up ahead.
That looks like a familiar move.
Oh, that was Simner. That was a very familiar. A little tap on the rear right corner, and luckily not a great dive into the wall. Look at Paul Busby here having a great fight with Damien. Damien really bringing the action here. He's dropped down a few places and he wants to take them back before the race is out. Only a couple of minutes left to go, and it looks to me like Damien's got some serious pace here. Paul Busby just trying to keep it ahead in that Porsche at the minute. I wonder if we'll see another one of those moves into Copse. Oh, they're using a lot of the curve there on the entry into turn 1, but now as we head around the first sector of this circuit, it's an absolute delight to watch these guys go nose to tail. It's a stream of vehicles around loop, lots of different lines being taken from the different drivers, and again we've got a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or 2 Ferraris and a Porsche here, so a great variation of cars racing each other to the very, very limits and as far as they can to the end of this race. This is great stuff. Damien Lobert in the Ferrari there, car number 5. Dropped down the order a little bit, and now he's absolutely in the mix with the rest of this field. Stuart Bickley, I think, has had so much airtime this evening in that Ferrari number 34. And Adam Holloway, I feel quite bad for Adam Holloway because I feel like he's just been kind of hanging on to the back of that fight for the last little while. He's not quite made any progress.
I think we've got a fight for P1 here in the last couple of laps.
We have. So P1, Danny Gosling, who we were watching earlier in the race trying to claw his way up to second. Now he's trying to claw his way up to first. So a real battle here for Danny Gosling and Jack Atkinson into the last laps of this race. And behind them, let's not forget Austin William Campbell, who again, we've kind of seen him watching the fights from a distance a little bit in the GT3s. He's been kind of just trailing behind, keeping an eye on all the battles ahead of him. And now this could be the real spectacle, because imagine if these guys get some contact into the last laps and Austin William Campbell just rolls over the line in P1. That would be quite the result after Jack Atkinson has led pretty much the entire thing. Now look, here we go into the final lap, I think now we are, and this is some excellent racing here from Danny Gosling and Jack Atkinson. As we go into loop, they've both got nice tidy lines, and the McLaren really starting to slide around a little bit by the looks of it. I wonder if the back end of that McLaren, the tyres starting to wear off a little bit and maybe just starting to struggle as we head into the final part of the race. Now Danny Gosling is really hungry for this win. He's been pushing so hard, Danny Gosling, and it's been an absolute joy to watch. That Audi really could claim the top spot. He's got the pace, he's had the pace for the whole race, and Austin William Campbell also really getting in the mix now. The lap times all in the 2 minutes as well, so they're only separated by a little bit. In fact, I think actually Austin Campbell William the fastest on the last lap out of all of these 3, so there's everything to play for as we go into Copse. No action to be seen here. That McLaren pushing incredibly wide, less speed on the exit than the Audi as we go into Maggots, Beckett's and Copse. I think they're going to have to keep it nice and tidy here. The absolute maneuver here is going to be making sure that you have it lined up on that hanger straight. If you don't have the exit speed down to the hanger straight, you're not going to get the move done here, and you will the glory that you seek, Danny Gosling. Or could it be Austin William Campbell or Jack Atkinson? Find out now as we head down into Stowe. He dives out wide, looks for a way around, but he hasn't quite managed to find it. Opened himself up a little bit to Austin there, but that McLaren struggling on the exit. Danny is very, very close. Which way is he going to go? Goes around the outside, the McLaren making itself as wide as possible. We could have a bit of contact here. It's so tight between these 3 in the top. Austin wants to go around the outside, not quite able to do it, and Danny's got the exit speed there, I think. And here we go, coming across the line. Jack Atkinson wins and Danny Gosling in second. Campbell coming in third. That was an absolutely fantastic way to end a brilliant race here at Silverstone this evening as we race for Katie. That was excellent action into the final laps, and wow, I don't know what to say. That was we couldn't have timed it better, those guys having a fight there right at the very end.
That's exactly what you want to see, isn't it, really? Right at the end there, racing all the way to the wire. It's what we came here to watch.
Yeah, and really the respect between a lot of the races this evening. I mean, we've definitely seen our fair share of incidents, bumper banging, and a bit of trading pain around the circuit this evening. But I do believe that we have had a really great race, considering we've had so many people on the grid here at Silverstone. It's been incredible to see that we've got as many people round it and finished as we have, with fantastic action wall to wall this evening. thank you, obviously, very much for anyone that's been joining us this evening, commenting on any of the streams that we've got here on YouTube, and obviously thank you very much to anybody that's been over to the link in the description below this video and been to the fundraiser page and given some of your hard-earned pennies over. It's very much appreciated if you have. And as we watch a few more of these cars obviously coming over the line now, we're going to be getting ready to wrap up the evening here at Silverstone, but we'll just stay on now and see if we get any more of these kind of last lap battles coming around the last corner. All of our drivers flashing their lights as they go across, and most of them now having finished. Here we go, a few more of our guys coming over, BMWs, Ferraris alike. A real variation on the grid has been absolutely excellent. So what we'll do and joined us for the race for Katie. Please do remember to head over to the link in the video description. It's been incredible to have you here with us this evening. Thank you for tuning in, and we wish you all the best. Thank you and good night.